The video game market is expanding and studios are increasingly releasing demanding AAA projects. It seems that gamers with low-spec PCs are left to enjoy solitaire in games from 20 years ago. In fact, many interesting titles come out every year that will run without any problems on a low-spec PC. Unique in its kind, Pentiment is an action RPG. According to some players, this is more of a novel and detective story followed by role-play. You will play as a young artist, Andres Mailer, who has come to Tassing. Soon, the daring murder of the Baron takes place. Only old man Lawrence, who certainly would not have had the strength to kill, is at the crime scene. Andres is a close friend of the suspect, so he decides to conduct his own investigation. Pentiment is, first of all, not a detective, but a historical component. The whole game is a beautiful demonstration of the Middle Ages, an era about which games are not often made. When I first heard about this game, I greeted it with some disbelief. Shooter with card mechanics, and it's all very much like a novella. It sounds about as wild as ice cream fries, but that's until you try it yourself. The protagonist, White, is an amnesic sinner given a chance at redemption. Now White must kill the demons that have entered heaven, but he's not the only one doing this, and only the best hired killer will have the opportunity to stay in paradise forever. The gameplay is accompanied by a characteristic anime style and beautiful soundtracks. Because the horror genre never gets old, the developers are constantly releasing new horror and remakes of their previous hits. A small German team of 2 people was inspired by the first parts of Silent Hill and Resident Evil. The developers worked on their own project for 8 years. In SIGNALIS, the android Elster awakens on a wrecked, empty ship. After exploring the ship, Elster discovers a photo of an unfamiliar girl and decides to find her. Immersion in the story is achieved through storytelling. The dialogues are short, and you will learn all the information from the environment. Notes scattered throughout the levels of the game will gradually reveal to you what is happening in this world. In fact, I would classify the game as a thriller, not a horror. The atmosphere does not let you relax for a second, but no one is just trying to scare you. Gamers around the world have been eagerly awaiting the release of this game. Stray is a third-person cat adventure game set amidst the detailed, neon-lit alleys of a decaying cybercity and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. The protagonist is a ginger cat who accidentally ends up in the underworld. Once, this world was inhabited by people. Now there is no one alive, but there are robots. Robots were able to gain self-awareness without human intervention. Stray's entire adventure revolves around the cat's return to the surface to rejoin his friends. The game gives me a warm and cozy feeling. Even the idea of human extinction within the framework of the plot does not strain or scare me too much. If you're craving more Stranger Things, consider playing Unusual Findings. It's a puzzle game set during Christmas in the 1980s. 3 best friends, Tony, Vinny, and Nick, are all grounded. They sneak out to use a cable signal descrambler to watch adult movies. They receive a strange alien signal when they turn on the descrambler. After a few seconds, an object falls from the sky into the nearest forest. When they reach the forest, the park ranger is killed. The boys decide to find a way to stop the bloodthirsty alien from causing even more harm. Ravenous Devils is a horror game that will definitely hook you. Welcome to a city where corruption, crime, and poverty are commonplace. Ravenous Devils tells the story of a serial killer tailor and his loving chef wife who want to get rich at any cost. They move to a new place of residence and come up with a brilliant, in their opinion, business idea. As a tailor, the husband invites clients to a fitting and then immediately kills them. He steals the clothes of the victims, and then he sews new clothes from these materials. The wife makes meat products from the corpses, which they later sell. Both explain this by stating that the country has a meat problem and that they want to eat every day. The game takes a few hours. For one evening, take on the roles of unscrupulous cannibals who have their own cruel business. ITORAH wakes up in a fantasy world filled with strange masked beings. People have disappeared, and ITORAH seems to be the only one of her kind left. She must take up her axe to walk through dangerous forests, cliffs, and temples in search of clues about her past. An innocent quest for knowledge quickly turns into a mission to save the world from its biggest threat. A mysterious plague is approaching that threatens to consume everything in its path. ITORAH has to find out what happened to the people and her memory. The companion of the protagonist, a talking axe, will help find out the truth. In Cult of the Lamb, you take on the role of a possessed lamb that has been saved from destruction by a sinister stranger. Now the protagonist must repay his debt by creating loyal followers. The chained deity, the one who waits, tells Lamb that the false bishops have betrayed him and he needs help to free himself. The one who waits tasks the protagonist with building a cult in his name and killing the traitors. Lamb begins to follow orders, gradually expanding the ranks of his cult. Collect resources and use them to build new structures. Preach sermons to strengthen the faith of your flock. Perform dark rituals to gain the favor of the gods. Game creators, especially indie developers, try to combine the style of cute and calm games with Souls-like games. Tunic's creators may have done an excellent job. From the very beginning, the game immerses you in an impenetrable atmosphere of mystery. You don't know what this world is like, who you are, or what you need to do. You have to collect the pages of a manual that will tell you why you came into this world. Despite the difficulty, the game remains soulful and calm. Some of the mechanics refer you to the traditions of game projects of the past, which causes pleasant nostalgia for many players. ELEX 2 is the sequel to ELEX, the vintage open-world role-playing experience. The first game wasn't bad, but it felt a bit underdeveloped and strained. The developers prepared for the second part, and they were able to release the game in a sci-fi setting, with significant improvements. A few years after Jax defeated the hybrid, a new threat arrives from the sky, unleashing the dangerous powers of Dark ELEX and endangering all life on the planet. And here again, a mortal threat looms over Magellan. The protagonist has to unite factions around the world to oppose a common enemy. It's nice to know that there are still developers who think about low-spec PC gamers. Which games from this list have you already played? Feel free to leave any comments here. If you liked this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel.